"To tell you a story about dreams," said the alchemist. The boy brought his horse closer. In ancient Rome, at the time of Emperor Tiberius, there lived a good man who had two sons. One was in the military and had been sent to the most distant regions of the empire. The other son was a poet and delighted all of Rome with his beautiful verses. One night, the father had a dream. An angel appeared to him and told him that the words of one of his sons would be learned and repeated throughout the world for all generations to come. The father woke from his dream grateful and crying, because life was generous and had revealed to him something any father would be proud to know. Shortly thereafter, the father died as he tried to save a child who was about to be crushed by the wheels of a chariot. Since he had lived the entire life in a manner that was correct and fair, he went directly to heaven, where he met the angel that had appeared in his dream. "You were always a good man," the angel said to him. "You lived your life in a loving way and died with dignity, and now I can grant you any wish you desire." "Life was too good to me," the man said. "When you appeared in my dream, I felt that all my efforts had been rewarded, because my son's poems would be read by men for generations to come. I don't want anything for myself, but any father would be proud of the fame achieved by one whom he had cared for as a child and educated as he grew up. Sometimes in the distant future, I would like to see my son's words." The angel touched the man's shoulder, and they were both projected far into the future. They were in an immense setting, surrounded by thousands of people speaking the same strange language. The man wept with happiness. "I knew that my son's poems are immortal," he said to the angel through his tears. "Could you please tell me which of my son's poems these people are repeating?" The angel came closer to the man and with tenderness led him to a bench nearby, where they sat down. "The verses of your son, who was the poet, were very popular in Rome," the angel said. "Everyone loved them and enjoyed them. But when the reign of Tiberius ended, his poems were forgotten. The words you're hearing now are those of your son in the military." The man looked at the angel in surprise. "Your son went to serve at a distant place and become a centurion. He was just and good. One afternoon, one of his servants fell ill, and it appeared that he would die. Your son had heard that a rabbi was able to cure illnesses, and he rode out for days and days in search of this man. Along the way, he learned that the man was seeking was the Son of God. He met others who had been cured by him, and they instructed your son in the man's teachings. And so, despite the fact that he was the Roman centurion, he converted to their faith. Shortly thereafter, he reached the place where the man he was looking for was visiting. He told the man about one of his servants gravely ill, and the rabbi made ready to go to his house with him. But the centurion was a man of faith, and looking into the eyes of the rabbi, he knew that he was surely in the presence of the God's Son of God. And this is what your son said. The angel told the man. These are the words he said to the rabbi at that point, and they've never been forgotten. "My Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word and my imagined that questions about life would be of such importance to a shepherd. "Goodbye," the alchemist said. "Goodbye," said the boy. The boy rode along through the desert for several hours, listening avidly to what his heart had to say. It was his heart that would tell him where his treasure was hidden. "Where your treasure is, there also will be your heart," the alchemist had told him. But his heart was speaking of other things. With pride, it told the stories of a shepherd who had left his flock to follow a dream he had in 2 different occasions. It told of destiny and of the many men who had wandered in search of distant lands for beautiful women, confronting the people of their times with their preconceived notions. It spoke of journeys, discoveries, books, and change. And he was about to climb yet another dune, and his heart whispered, "Be aware of the place where you are brought to tears. That's where I am. That's where your treasure is." The boy climbed the dune slowly. The full moon rose again in the starry sky. It had been a month since he had set forth from the oasis. The moonlight cast shadows through the dunes, creating the appearance of a rolling sea. It reminded the boy of the day when that horse had reared in the desert, and he had come to know the alchemist. And the moon fell on the desert silence, and on a man's journey in search of treasure. When he reached the top of the dune, his heart leaped. There, illuminated by the light of the moon and the brightness of the desert, stood the solemn and the majestic pyramids of Egypt. The boy fell to his knees and wept. He thanked God for making him believe in his destiny and for leading him to meet a king, merchant, Englishman, and an alchemist, and above all, as having met a woman of the desert who had told him that love will never keep a man from his destiny. If he wanted to, he could now return to the oasis, go back to Fatima, and live his life as a simple shepherd. After all, the alchemist continued to live in the desert, even though he understood the language of the world and knew how to transform lead into gold. He didn't need to demonstrate his science and art to anyone. The boy told himself that on the way toward realizing his own destiny, he had learned all he needed to know and had experienced everything he might have dreamed of. But here he was, at the point of finding his treasure, and he reminded himself no project is completed until its objective has been achieved. The boy looked at the sands around him and saw that, where his tears had fallen, a scarab beetle was scuttling through the sand. During this time in the desert, he had learned that in Egypt, a scarab beetle was a symbol of God. Another omen. The boy began to dig into the dune. As he did so, he thought of what the crystal merchant had once said, that anyone could build a pyramid in his backyard. The boy could see now that he couldn't do so if he placed stone upon stone for the rest of his life. Throughout the night, the boy dug at the place he had chosen, but found nothing. He felt weighted down by the centuries of time since the pyramids had been built. But he didn't stop. He struggled to continue digging as he fought the wind, which often blew the sand back into the excavation. His hands were abraded and exhausted, but he listened to his heart. It had told him to dig where the tears fell. As he was attempting to pull out rocks he encountered, he heard footsteps. Several figures approached him. Their backs were to the moonlight, and the boy could see neither their eyes nor their faces. "What are you doing here?" one of the figures demanded. Because he was terrified, the boy didn't answer. He had found where his treasure was and was frightened at what might happen. "We're refugees from the tribal wars, and we need money," the other figure said. "What you are hiding there?" "I'm not hiding anything," the boy answered. But one of them seized the boy and yanked him back out of the hole. Another, who was searching the boy's bags, found a piece of gold. "There's a gold here," he said. The moon shone on the face of the Arab who had seized him, and in the man's eyes the boy saw death. "He's probably got more gold hidden in the ground." They made the boy continue digging, but he found nothing. As the sun rose, the man began to beat the boy. He was bruised and bleeding. His clothing was torn to shreds, and he felt that death was near. "What good is money to you if you're going to die?" "It's not often that money can save someone's life," the alchemist has said. Finally, the boy screamed at the man, "I'm digging for treasure." And although his mouth was bleeding and swollen, he told his attackers that he had twice dreamed of a treasure hidden near the pyramids of Egypt. The man who appeared to be the leader of the group spoke to one of the others. "Leave him. He doesn't have anything else. He must have stolen this gold." The boy fell to the sand, nearly unconscious. The leader shook him and said, "We're leaving." But before they left, he came back to the boy and said, "You're not going to die. You leave. You've learned that a man shouldn't be so stupid." 2 years ago, right here on the spot, I had a recurrent dream too. I dreamed that I should travel to the fields of Spain and look for a ruined church where sheep herds and their sheep slept. In my dream, there was a sycamore growing out of the ruins of a sacristy, and I was told that if I dug at the roots of the sycamore, I would find a hidden treasure. But I'm not so stupid as to cross an entire desert just because of a recurrent dream. And they disappeared. The boy stood up shakily and looked once more at the pyramids. They seemed to laugh at him, and he laughed back, his heart bursting with joy, because now he knew where his treasure was. The boy reached the small, abandoned church as the night was falling. The sycamore was still there in the sacristy, and the stars could still be seen through the half-destroyed roof. He remembered the time he had been there with his sheep. It had been a peaceful night, except for the dream. Now he was here not with his flock, but with a shovel. He sat looking at the sky for a long time. Then he took from his knapsack a bottle of wine and drank some. He remembered the night in the desert where he had sat with the alchemist. As they looked at the stars and drank wine together, he thought of the many roads he had traveled, and of the strange way God had chosen to show him his treasure. If he hadn't believed in the significance of the recurrent dreams, he would not have met the gypsy woman, the king, the thief. Oh well, it's a long list. But the path was written in the almonds, and there was no way I could go wrong, he said to himself. He fell asleep, and when he awoke, the sun was already high. He began to dig at the base of the sycamore. "You old sorcerer!" The boy shouted up to the sky. "You know the whole story. You even left a bit of gold at the monastery so I could get back to his church." The monk laughed when he saw me come back in tatters. "Couldn't you have saved me from that?" "No," he heard a voice in the wind say. If I had told you, you wouldn't have seen the pyramids. They are beautiful, aren't they? The boy smiled and continued digging. Half an hour later, his shovel hit something solid. An hour later, he had before him a chest of Spanish gold coins. There were also precious stones, gold masks, a dome with red and white feathers, and stone statues embedded with jewels, spoils of the conquest that the country had long ago forgotten, and that some conquistador had failed to tell the children about. The boy took out Urim and Thummim from his bag. He had used 2 stones only once, one morning when he was at a marketplace. His life and his path had provided him with enough almonds. He placed Urim and Thummim in his chest. They were also a part of his new treasure, because they were a reminder of the old king, whom he would never see again. It's true, life really is generous to those who pursue their destiny, the boy thought. Then he remembered that he had to go to Tarifa, so he would give 1/10 of his treasure to the gypsy woman. As he had promised, those gypsies are really smart, he thought. Maybe it was because they moved around so much. The wind began to blow again. It was the Levante, the wind that came from Africa. It didn't bring with it the smell of the desert, nor the threat of Moorish invasion. Instead, it brought the scent of a perfume he had knew well, and the touch of a kiss. A kiss that came from far away, slowly, slowly, until it rested on his lips. The boy smiled. It was the first time she had done that. "I am coming, Fatima," he said. That's the end of The Alchemist.